This is about Fred Allen on the radio. I wanted to read a book by Fred Allen entitled Treadmill to Oblivion. The library had a copy, but it was a reference book, and I could not check it out. So I settled for another book by Fred Allen, Much Ado About Me. It was concerned with his early life and his career as an actor in vaudeville, and by the time I was done with it, I was in trouble because I had fallen in love with Fred Allen. I wanted to read his other book. I went to the main library and talked this over with two librarians. One of them hopped on a computer, pushed a few buttons, and the book was no longer a reference copy. I could check it out. Even though it was written first, it picked up where the other book had ended. It was about Fred Allen working in radio from 1932 to 1949. In the course of those years, Allen rose to stardom and then was undone by a quiz show. Always conflicted about the business of radio, he resented the end of his run, even though by then the work itself had soured. He'd been at it too hard for too long. The initial move to radio was one every successful vaudeville comic made. In the theater, Allen noted, the actor had uncertainty, broken promises, constant travel, and a gypsy existence. Radio offered stability, steady work, good pay, and a simple commute. Allen had been an original in vaudeville, his own man, his own act, and right from the start, he was building a certain type of show in radio that he thought would fit his talents and attract and hold an audience, those thousands of people scattered across the land who could tune in every week with their new radios, knowing they would get more than a few laughs for free. And right away, though he was successful, Allen ran into trouble with meddling. He saw radio as an extraordinary means of entertaining people. Sponsors saw it as a nearly miraculous way to reach a huge audience and move product. It was inevitable, Allen wrote, that the sponsors would consider themselves authorities on the tastes and entertainment preferences of the general public. That cramped his style. He worked through it, around it, as best he could, but the constant interference was annoying. Sponsors weren't the only problem. To me, Allen wrote, an advertising agency is 85% confusion and 15% commission. A vice president in an advertising agency is a molehill man. He has from 9 to 5 to make a mountain. Some of them can do it before lunch. Every time agencies changed, and they were like pinballs, the show had to change, even the name of the show. Why a distinctive title that had proven its appeal should be abandoned is difficult to understand unless you had been exposed to the alleged minds of certain types of dynamic advertising executives, Allen wrote. Frustrating, counterproductive to be sure, but Allen had to live with it. The work, too, that treadmill, became something like a recipe for a nervous breakdown. 39 shows a year, each requiring 7 days of prep. During the early years, Allen said it was fun. At this point, later on, it had become drudgery. Stop the Music, a giveaway show that catered to the greed of both the audience and the sponsors, bumped Allen into oblivion. As buzzards swooped down on carrion, we have giveaway shows descended on the carcass of radio, he said. By that time, nibbled to death by ducks, Allen was ready to walk away. Within the hierarchy of the little men, there is no man who can out-little the minor executive in a large corporation, who treats his authority as he treats a tight suit. In a tight suit, he is afraid to make a move. With his authority, the minor executive takes the same precaution. We had men of his ilk in radio. The eternal aggravating factor stemmed from the fact that the actors lasted longer in the industry than the executives. There always seemed to be fresh clusters of busy miniature men making new rules to get things on an efficient basis. Our program seemed to be forever caught in the tidal wave of executives being swept in and out of office. The new brooms in the organization would just make sweeping decisions, and there we were, standing in the dust. For his pains, Allen felt abandoned, that Oblivion. All that the comedian has to show for his years of work and aggravation is the echo of forgotten laughter. Well, there was the camaraderie, especially with his wife, Portland, and the nice paycheck. And, judging from numerous scripts provided throughout the book, work must have satisfied his creative side. He admired good writing and wanted to be a writer. After he was done with radio, he wrote the 2 books. John Sullivan never wanted a regular life or a job. That was for the miniature molehill men. He lived by his wits and became somewhat larger than life. He became Fred Allen, a star on the radio.